Today I review the 90s slasher film Scream, where a masked maniac targets a high school student and her friends in middle-class suburbia, and the killer might be someone that she knows. The pros. This was my first time watching Scream ever, and I gotta say that this is horror comedy done right. Because by themselves, horror and comedy, those are hard genres to make movies off of. So I was just wondering, how are they going to pull off making a movie where you combine the genres? Well, Wes Craven shows us the way. First off, this movie is scary. As soon as it started, I was immediately getting chills because Ghostface was calling a very young Drew Barrymore, she was a baby in this. And then finally attacking her, I started losing my mind. This movie does a great job building up to the scare, and then the payoff is worth it. It doesn't tease you too much, like a lot of newer horror movies do these days, where there'll be a jump scare and nothing happens. In this movie, 90% of the time, if there's a jump scare, stuff is going down. At the same time though, Scream is funny because it's making fun of the horror genre. It calls out stupid horror tropes throughout the movie. There's literally a couple of scenes where they list them all off. And they would actively go against those tropes, or they would over-exaggerate them in a way that was obviously for comedic effect. I appreciated that this movie let me in on the joke with the over-the-top acting, silly dialogue, and this iconic killer. Ghostface, as the killer's called, is an interesting horror villain because when he's compared to the likes of Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, he's scrawny and not at all unstoppable. But what made him scary for me was, one, he was crafty, and two, he was ferocious when he went after his victims. He's lunging for people, he's knocking over furniture, he does a lot of grunting. He was like an animal. It was like Wes Craven told the actor to actually try to murder his castmates. Another thing that was really scary for me about Ghostface was how much hope he gave me. And here's what I mean by that. Whenever he attacked someone, he would get beaten up in some way. He would get punched, he would get knifed, he would get kicked, something. And why that was scary is because that would give me hope that the victim would get away. Because I have that hope, I get more emotionally invested into the scene, into the character. Even if I only knew the character for a couple of minutes. Because my energy level's up here. I'm getting excited. I'm like, come on, keep fighting, you can get away. But then he gets them, and it makes the kills of the scene more impactful. It makes the whole thing more terrifying, and that's just so well done. I also really enjoyed the mystery aspect of this movie, because the whole time I was thinking, who's the killer? And the movie does a good job of misleading you, because it would do subtle things that would maybe go, oh, it's definitely him. No, wait, no, it might be him. There was this one scene where it showed a cop and suddenly the camera focused on his boots. And then I was like, wait a minute. In a previous scene, Ghostface, when he was hiding in a bathroom stall, the camera focused on his boots. Those are the same boots. The cop's the killer. That was just one example. But this movie had me thrown for a loop until the very end. The cons. Honestly, there's not much I have to complain about this movie. If I wanted to nitpick, I would say that the acting was sometimes a bit too over the top. Because there were a few scenes where I was just like, hey, y'all need to chill out. But this is a horror comedy, so overall thoughts. For what Wes Craven was trying to do, he knocked it out of the park. Because this was both a rip on the horror genre, which was funny, but also still really scary. Dare I say, this might be one of the greatest horror movies that I've ever seen. Scream isn't a B-Town movie, it's an A-Town movie. Thanks for watching! Click right here to watch more reviews. And to see new reviews, click right here to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything.